Pablo Escobar, often referred to as the Boss, is widely considered one of the most notorious drug traffickers in history. At the height of his power, Escobar was responsible for moving around 80% of the cocaine that flooded the U.S. market. His empire was worth billions, and every day, he smuggled 15 tons of cocaine into the U.S., a staggering $500 million worth of product. But Escobar didn't just run a drug empire. He also commanded a ruthless army of killers. These men, fiercely loyal to Escobar, were known as sicarios, and they did whatever was necessary to protect him and his enormous drug empire, often with ruthless efficiency. Among the most notorious of these hitmen were Popeye, La Kika, and Blackie. If you're a fan of the hit Netflix series Narcos, you've probably heard of these names. But what happened to these cold-blooded killers after the fall of Escobar's empire? Are they still living free? Where are they now? Well, stay tuned to find out, as the stories of these hitmen is anything but peaceful. Number 1. Popeye. The infamous Popeye, whose real name was John Jairo Velásquez, might sound like a harmless nickname, but make no mistake, he was far from it. Known for his protruding jaw, which he later had surgically corrected, Popeye's journey into the world of murder was shocking for many, especially considering his humble beginnings. Born in Yarumal, Antioquia, Colombia, Velásquez first joined the Colombian National Army before attending the police academy. It's almost surreal to think that someone who was trained to serve and protect would go on to become one of the most feared assassins in Colombia. His killing spree started young. At just 17, Velásquez carried out his first murder, driven by revenge after a bus driver was responsible for the death of his close friend's mother. Velásquez would go on to kill over 257 people, though many believe the actual number is much higher. His reign of terror was not limited to just common citizens. Popeye was also responsible for the kidnapping and murder of several high-profile individuals, including politicians. But the true horror of his legacy lies in the number of murders he orchestrated, around 3,000 hits. His meticulous planning and cold-blooded execution of targets earned him a reputation as a genius when it came to taking lives, though, of course, this is anything but admirable. In 1992, Popeye was arrested, and after serving time in prison for multiple crimes, including murder and drug trafficking, he was released in 2014. However, his criminal tendencies never left him, and he was soon caught and sent back to prison for extortion. Popeye's life came to an end when he succumbed to stomach cancer in 2020. Despite his violent past, he later gained some notoriety by creating a YouTube channel where he shared stories about his notorious career, proving that even the deadliest men can seek a platform to tell their tales, even if they do not deserve it. Number 2. La Kika. La Kika, born Dandani Muñoz Mosquera, earned a reputation as one of the most ruthless hitmen in Pablo Escobar's cartel. His road to infamy began when he joined the Colombian army, though he was later discharged for committing theft. After this, he made his way into Escobar's Medellín Cartel, where his skills in torture and murder quickly propelled him up the ranks. La Kika was infamous for the brutal methods he employed when carrying out hits. His signature move was carving the letters KK into his victims, signifying his brutal mark on their deaths. He was also rumored to have skinned his victims alive and performed other heinous acts of cruelty. For someone who came from humble beginnings, his father was a policeman and his mother an evangelical Christian, La Kika's transformation into a cold-blooded killer was shocking to many. He played a key role in some of the most brutal events of the cartel's reign, including the bombing of Avianca Flight 203 in 1989, which resulted in the deaths of 101 innocent people, including 2 American citizens. This act made La Kika a high-priority target for U.S. law enforcement. He was eventually arrested and sentenced to multiple life sentences. Despite his violent past, La Kika surprisingly denied all his crimes in interviews. But the U.S. government had already tied him to over 220 murders. Now serving his sentence in a U.S. prison, La Kika's story serves as a chilling reminder of the extreme violence Escobar's empire was built upon. While some speculate about his possible cooperation with the authorities, no definitive answers have surfaced about his current whereabouts or his continued role in the criminal underworld. Number 3. Blackie. Nelson Hernandez, also known as Blackie, was another of Escobar's most trusted hitmen. Born in Colombia, Blackie earned his nickname due to his African descent. He worked as both a bodyguard and hitman for Escobar, and quickly rose to prominence within the cartel due to his brutality and loyalty. Blackie was involved in some of the most violent acts carried out by Escobar's associates, including kidnapping and assassinating key figures and executing bombings that left hundreds dead. One of his most infamous acts was his involvement in the 1993 bombing of the Bogotá shopping center, where over 20 people were killed and nearly 70 injured. After witnessing the gruesome aftermath, Blackie expressed remorse for his actions, admitting that the deaths of innocent civilians had shaken him. This moment of guilt led him to question Escobar's growing obsession with violence. However, Blackie's inner conflict didn't stop him from continuing his work for Escobar. His loyalty to the cartel was unwavering, and he was involved in numerous violent attacks, including attacking Colombian judges and bombing police stations. Eventually, Blackie's conscience caught up with him. He had begun to fear for his life as Escobar's empire crumbled, and in 1993, he secretly provided crucial information to the DEA agents, which helped lead to the capture of key members of the cartel. After testifying, Blackie entered the Witness Protection Program, and his whereabouts are now unknown. While some believe he's still alive, others speculate that he may have been eliminated due to his betrayal of Escobar. Regardless, Blackie's transformation from a killer for Escobar to a whistleblower stands as one of the most dramatic turns in the violent history of the Medellín Cartel. Number 4. Popeye's partner in crime, Pablito. While Popeye, John Jairo Velásquez, gained much of the fame as Escobar's most notorious hitman, Pablito, Carlos Alberto Gonzalez, was another key figure in the Medellín Cartel's violent operations. Pablito was known for his absolute ruthlessness and was deeply involved in many of the cartel's operations, carrying out killings with alarming efficiency. Like many of the hitmen, he was also a product of Colombia's violent environment, joining Escobar's forces after a troubled youth. His most notorious operation was his involvement in the bombing campaign orchestrated by Escobar's cartel to intimidate the government and the people. Pablito, unlike some of the other hitmen, was known for his cold detachment. He had no personal vendettas but was fully loyal to Escobar and carried out his orders without question. It was said that Pablito's skill in carrying out murders was what made him so valuable to Escobar. However, Pablito's fate was not a happy one. Like many of Escobar's men, once the cartel began to crumble, Pablito found himself on the run. He was eventually arrested and served a significant portion of time behind bars for his violent crimes. His downfall came when his past as a hitman was used against him, leading to his eventual capture and sentencing. Today, Pablito remains a tragic example of the collateral damage caused by the violence of Escobar's reign. His exact fate remains largely unknown, though some reports suggest he still resides in prison, where his story continues to serve as a grim reminder of the past. Number 5. El Chacal, the hitman who became a legend. Another one of Escobar's most feared hitmen was El Chacal, Ricardo Sanchez, whose name has been whispered among cartel insiders and law enforcement as one of the most dangerous figures in Escobar's inner circle. El Chacal, like many of Escobar's hitmen, started his career in the army before being recruited by the Medellín Cartel. His military training made him particularly adept at using violent tactics to ensure the cartel's dominance. El Chacal's notoriety was due to his ability to carry out the most brutal assassinations, often in public places. One of the most chilling tales about El Chacal involved the murder of an entire family who were rumored to be stealing from the cartel. El Chacal, without hesitation, executed all the family members, including children, as a display of the cartel's power and as a warning to others. His cruelty was a hallmark of Escobar's enforcers, and it is said that he once even boasted about the number of lives he had taken. Despite his fearsome reputation, El Chacal was eventually caught by the Colombian authorities. After spending years on the run, he was eventually captured and imprisoned. The exact details of his life post-arrest are unclear, though it is believed that he remains in a maximum security prison, where his legacy continues to haunt those who remember his reign of terror. He is another example of the ruthless and violent tactics employed by Escobar and his associates in their pursuit of power, control, and a lot of wealth. Number 6. El Loco, the unhinged assassin. One of the most terrifying members of Escobar's inner circle was El Loco, Luis Enrique Diaz. His nickname, meaning the Madman, perfectly encapsulated his violent and erratic behavior. El Loco was not only known for his bloodlust, but also for his unpredictability, making him one of Escobar's most feared assassins. El Loco was a childhood friend of Pablo Escobar, and their bond went way back. As Escobar's empire grew, El Loco rose through the ranks, becoming a key member of his assassination team. Unlike other hitmen who operated with careful precision, El Loco was known for his violent outbursts and chaotic method of carrying out killings. His reputation for acting without any clear pattern made him even more terrifying to his targets, as no one knew when or how he would strike. After Escobar's fall, El Loco was hunted down by both rival cartels and law enforcement. He was captured by Colombian authorities and spent several years in prison. However, his story didn't end there. Upon his release, El Loco reportedly went into hiding, but rumors abound that he has continued to carry out contract killings for various organizations. Like many of Escobar's former enforcers, El Loco's life is shrouded in mystery, and his fate remains unclear. A fitting end for a man known as the Madman. Number 7. The Brothers, vicious and loyal. Hitmen. Pablo Escobar didn't just rely on one or two loyal hitmen. He had entire families dedicated to carrying out his dirty work. Among these were the Muñoz brothers, Carlos, Jorge, and Alvaro, who became infamous for their violent acts on behalf of the Medellín Cartel. The Muñoz brothers were known for their ruthlessness and dedication to Escobar, never questioning his orders, no matter how brutal they were. The brothers' most infamous act was their role in the mass killing of over 100 people in the 1980s, during a time when Escobar was waging war against the Colombian government. They carried out the hit with military precision, and their loyalty to Escobar was unquestionable. As the war between the government and the Medellín Cartel intensified, the Muñoz brothers became key players in maintaining the cartel's strength. But like many of Escobar's enforcers, their fate took a dark turn after his death. The brothers were eventually caught by Colombian authorities, and their lives behind bars became as violent as their time outside. Today, the Muñoz brothers remain a reminder of the deadly family bonds forged in the heart of Colombia's drug wars. Their legacy is one of loyalty, violence, and betrayal, and their actions continue to haunt Colombia's history. It's like a never-ending cycle of violence and destruction, with the promise of power and wealth ultimately leading to their end. Pablo Escobar's hitmen were more than just killers. They were loyal servants to the king of cocaine, who did his bidding without question, often with brutal efficiency. These men deeply entrenched in the world of crime, were the backbone of Escobar's empire, ensuring the survival and expansion of his drug trade. Their actions, marked by unspeakable violence and cruelty, were a testament to the power Escobar held over his cartel and the fear he instilled in both his enemies and allies alike. However, as the empire began to crumble and Escobar's reign ended with his death, the fates of his most notorious hitmen took drastically different turns. Some, like Popeye, remained active in the criminal world even after serving time, gaining some infamy through social media. Others, like La Kika, ended up in U.S. prisons, serving life sentences for their brutal actions. Meanwhile, figures like Blackie, who once executed orders with unflinching loyalty, found themselves caught in a web of guilt and remorse, leading to their eventual betrayal of Escobar's empire. The story of Escobar's hitmen serves as a chilling reminder of the power of loyalty to a ruthless leader and the consequences of living a life steeped in violence. Their violent pasts were often followed by betrayals, arrests, and lives spent in hiding or behind bars. Some were redeemed, others remained trapped in their criminal pasts, and a few vanished without a trace. Ultimately, the hitmen of Pablo Escobar's cartel left behind a legacy of destruction, a reminder of the bloody path paved by one of history's most infamous drug lords. Their fates, just like Escobar's, are a testament to the fleeting nature of power built on fear and violence. So, what do you think about the infamous hitmen of Pablo Escobar? Are they merely puppets in the hands of a mastermind, or are they equally responsible for their actions? Let us know in the comment section below. And as we always say, if you find this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.